Hey everyone, today I'm going to be going over the Gengar line. It's been a little while. I got super busy. I'm dealing with a lot of moving stuff right now, but I want to get something out of the way before I even get into them. Essentially, I just want to clarify that these changes would be absolutely ridiculous in competitive Pokemon. The new thumbnail title is just an idea from somebody on my Discord server, and I thought it was pretty clever. Um, and it's good for like getting clicks and whatnot. But I just want to get that disclaimer right out of the way because God, there is no way in hell that any of these would fly in competitive. It would be absolutely horrible. Hell, if this hack ever gets any major traction and somebody is like experienced enough to make a showdown server for it, it would be like absolutely chaotic and probably fun, but also like absolutely chaotic and not like it's not optimized for competitive play. It is optimized for in-game hardcore Nuzlocke play. Obviously, you can also just play the hack yourself without doing any Nuzlocke rules or anything like that. That's totally fine too. But it is definitely optimized for that, at least for experienced hardcore Nuzlockers. Otherwise, you can just play the game normally, and I'm sure you'll have a lot of fun because it will be hard if you're not very experienced. Even if you're experienced, it's challenging, but the difference between hard and challenging, in my opinion. Uh, Regardless, I just wanted to clarify that because I feel like some people might be seeing this and being like, "What the hell? Like this is so broken." In game, it's just a totally different like meta. Like everything can technically be broken in game as long as everything is relatively equal. Then you can just use your own array of options, and ideally you do it in a Nuzlocke, and so you're limited in your options, and you have to use weird things you never used before and try all these weird strategies. Another thing I like to do is team locked, but I'll get into that when I'll probably make videos on like strategy and trainer battles and that kind of stuff. I think that'd be cool. So I could probably talk more about team locked and the rules then. I just wanted to clarify that though. We're with that out of the way. We got the Gengar line. These guys are super fucking cool, man. I'm sure these are like fan favorites. People love Gengar. I think Gengar's pretty fucking dope. Honestly, I like Haunter and Mega Gengar way more than regular Gengar, but that's just me. So there's a lot of weird stuff here. I want to get a few of the weirdest things out of. I want to address a few of the weirder things first. So the weirdest change is most likely the Haunter and Gengar relationship. So, for example, it evolves with the Ghost Gem. So a lot of trade evolutions evolve with gems because essentially the reason I do that is if I intend the pre-evolution to actually be usable, to be a viable, usable Pokemon, then I don't want to have people deal with it evolving 24/7, meaning after every battle it tries to evolve, because otherwise everything's leveled up. So gems are available at a certain point in the game, and they're actually good items for like usage as well. Although they're a little gimmicky because Life Orb does the same boost now. They're still usable and solid, especially for like Unburden or acrobatics and stuff. But point is, you need a Ghost Gem to evolve it, just because I want Haunter to be a genuine viable option. I don't want you to be forced to use Gengar or Mega Gengar. And I actually will get into that right now. So as you can see, Haunter has physical attack. You might be thinking, what the fuck? Why is Haunter physical? What the hell? Why is it mixed attacker? I mean, my man has like big claws. He has these big teeth. I think it's pretty cool. I think it's a cool idea. And the main reason I actually want to do it is because Ruthless fits really fucking well. And I just think it's really cool to have dual stab with Ruthless. I have like this unspoken goal of making a Ruthless Pokemon for every dual stab 50% crit move like combination. I don't think it'll happen, but I think I want to fill out like as many as possible. I just think it's cool to have like dual stab Ruthless moves. So he has Cross Voice and Shadow Claw for Ruthless, and then he also has Psycho Cut, X Scissor, and Cross Chop. So despite being 15 points lower. Again, I don't want to go over 95 because I feel like anything over 95 is kind of dragging it at that point. But 95 seems like a pretty good number. I mean, he has his big claws and he can punch stuff and stuff. Um, so that's pretty dope. I dropped special attack a little bit, just like I did with like Kadabra, for example, just because early game level 20 is going to be a little too strong if he has 115 speed and 150 special attack. So 110 special attack is much more fair, and it also encourages the use of his lower attack stat. So not only do you have Ruthless, but you also keep Levitate. So another reason to use a Violate Haunter over Gengar is not only because they have the same exact speed and Haunter is more physical. So for example, say I'm doing a Nuzlocke and I get an Adamant Haunter or a Lonely Nature Haunter. I mean, you could definitely use Mixed and then eventually evolve it. But let's say you get Adamant with like 0 special attack IVs and 31 attack IVs. And at that point, you may as well just run the Ruthless Haunter. The only real downsides is that with Ruthless, you're going to need Scope Lens for these physical moves, and then you're losing on a Violite. And also with a Violite, let me actually do the math. I believe, show calculator. I believe his 70 SPDF is like pretty damn good with Firelight. Let's just put it in as like Jolly. I use the speed stat if anyone's wondering, calculate stuff, just because then if I put in like +1 from a Violate, I can literally just see the number there instead of having to do the math in my head. It's just easier. So yeah, 393. It hits 393. That's like about 130-ish, I believe. Let me check. Yeah, literally, yeah, exactly on the nose. This 129 would be 392, right? Yeah. So 130 split F with max investment with 70 split F with a Violate. So that's pretty fucking bulky, man. My main Haunter can take some hits. He has a pretty good unique typing. The only other Pokemon that might share the typing is a gimmicky Gourgeist idea I have, but I'll get into that when I get to them. I kind of wanted to make one of the supersized forms shiny locked and then have that one be Ghost Poison and like a rotten, corrupt pumpkin or something, but I'll get into that later. Yeah, that's Haunter. He's strong. The physical bulk is shit without the Violite, but with a Violite, I think 45 is probably ends up being pretty decent. Let's check. 310, yeah, that's like, if I had to guess, probably 90 something. Yeah, 92. So 92 physical defense and 130 special defense if you max invest in both. You have shit HP, but you can actually use it to your advantage if you use like Soul Absorb or Pain Split. You could really, really, really abuse that. Oh shit, I wanted to get them Strength Sap, didn't I? Might be too strong though. I really wanted to get them Strength Sap because I just think it's really cool. So I'll get into draining moves now. So they have a crop out of draining moves because it literally says here like it steals their force and stuff. Um, steals your heat, steals your heat source. Also, another thing is it talks about like Gengar hide people's shadows. It causes chills. If you feel a sudden chill, it cools the area by 10 degrees. It steals life force. All that kind of stuff. So, and I know that that's because ghosts in general have like this superstition of like oh making the area cold by demons and whatnot. But I think it's just a cool little flavor thing to give them ice moves. Now, he already got Ice Punch and Icy Wind. I'm sure probably literally because of well Ice Punch. I don't know. That's probably just to give that shit to everything. But Icy Wind is probably definitely a direct reference to that. But they didn't give him Ice Beam, probably because they thought he would be too strong. And honestly, they're not wrong. In real games, he might be too strong with Ice Beam. But in this game, my man can totally run Ice Beam. Dude, they have so much coverage, physical and special. They have coverage for literally everything. They already had great coverage, and now they just have even more. You can see it all here. I'm not even going to bother covering it all. You can see it for yourself. Got plenty of great stuff. Fire is the most important, I would say. Fire is the most important new addition, and ice. Fire and ice are the most important, but there's more, much more than that. Another really cool thing with Ruthless, guys, is that here I'll literally just show you. In case you guys don't know what these do by now, it's Sniper. So it just makes your crits do a shitload of fucking damage. And you have all these 100% crit rate moves. And not only do you have your physical 50% crit moves with Cross Chop, Cross Poison, Shadow Claw, etc. Night Slash is useless because dark coverage is not good on Ghost Mons for the most part. So I didn't even bother giving it to him, even though it fits, obviously. So you also have these 100% crit rate moves. You don't even need a scope lens for those, but you get those later on. So the cool thing about that is you will get Haunter can use Frost Breath and Heat Wave, both of which are 65 base power, which would become would so look at it, those are 98 base power with the crit. So if you add another 1.5 on top of that, I believe they're like 130 something. Oh my god, 146. I can't do math in my head right now. I'm tired. Yeah, 146. So super strong. It's got really strong options with Heat Wave and Frost Breath. And then later on, it gets Explosion, which I've changed it to be. What the hell am I typing that in for? I'm really tired today. Hold on. 250 times 1.0. So basically, it's 100% crit move. So the max base power I can assign in game is 250 now, sadly. And I kind of wanted to mimic the old Explosion self-destruct where it was like halves your defense. They're also special moves now, both of them. Well, self-destruct has changed to a fire type move that burns, but Explosion is still normal type, so it can be, basic move. It's 375. Add another 1.5 on top of that, and it becomes 562. So that's literally just old Explosion for him, actually stronger than old Explosion for Gengar. And it uses their special attack stat, which is really strong. So it's just super fucking fun. And you can definitely, if you're not doing a Nuzlocke, you can definitely abuse that. You could like use a bunch of utility moves and then blow yourself up, kill them, and then you go into another mon. Or more importantly, it's good for AI to abuse against the player. So super fun stuff. And with a Ruthless, Explosion does that much damage. Sorry, so Gengar doesn't have that. He has the 375, which is still good. And then later on, the strongest Ruthless move you get that isn't the physical stat, the strongest special Ruthless move you will get, you get the Heat Wave, you get Fire Ice Coverage, Explosion, and then you get Subspace Tear, which is referencing Gengar's, well, specifically Mega Gengar's ability to like distort dimensions and like pass through other dimensions. And this body is brimming with a strange power. Energy of Mega Evolution awakened it. So I'm getting a little bit ahead of myself, but you see the third eye here? That's why Mega Gengar has Psychic Surge. Also because being immune to priority is fucking great for Gengar. Also because I think having 3 stabs essentially in Gen 7 because it deals 1.5, not 1.3 with the terrain boost is just cool. It's just cool to have triple stab, in my opinion. Um, and it's just a really useful ability. So yeah, technically he dies harder to psychic type moves. Oh no. But I think being immune to priority as well as um, having the giant boosting of psychic type moves essentially giving you 3 stabs is really useful and definitely shouldn't be underestimated. And you can also support your teammates with psychic surge and psychic terrain. So that's really cool. So that you have that, it's great. The only other thing with me, oh shit, is my food here? Huh. I have to answer a phone call after this, but weird. That wasn't food, it was something else, a random number. So yeah, super awesome stuff. Oh, maybe it was the food. Maybe they like to add a food or something. Hold on. I have to pause. How do I do that? Do I upload 2 videos? Man, I'll just finish this up then. I'll just finish this one up. So basically, I'm gonna rush this last part of it a bit, but it's super cool, man. They have all this great stuff. Um, this one is going to be a longer one as well because it's a whole 3-stage line where technically like Haunter is a totally usable Pokemon. That's what I was going to try to get into. Basically, you can run a Violite and you're much bulkier than Gengar. You're just as fast and you're not that much weaker and you're actually stronger with Ruthless and you have Levitate. So you have way different options. And Haunter learns all of the moves. Gengar does. I actually have to add that here. I have that. Let me steal it from somebody else real quick. Hold on. Sorry, guys. Just type in like Haunter. Oh, fuck the font. Gengar. Put that at 11, I guess. All right. Oh, shit. Never mind. I'm just going to make it size 10 font because I'm not bothering me formatting anything right now. All right. So, as I was saying, they have a lot of really cool options. Ghastly is paper thin still, has 10 attack because my man should not be able to attack physically in any way besides maybe biting. Slightly weaker just because early game balancing stuff, way faster, and actually a good special defense stat early game, up until level 20. So yeah, Levitate, Ruthless Haunter with a Violite is way worth using over Gengar. As for Mega Gengar, I don't know. I think the choice between Haunter and Gengar really depends on your specific IVs and EVs and team composition and preference. So that's up to you. But as for Mega Gengar, I would say it's kind of hard to justify Haunter over Mega Gengar once you unlock Mega Gengar later in the game. But you still could. Like it is bulkier. It has levitate. It's physical. So those are different. It's a different Pokemon essentially. It's just that Mega Gengar's traits are really fucking great, but that's balanced for late game. For the last island, essentially, probably when you'll be getting Mega Gengar, maybe towards like 8th Foundation times. I actually have not really balanced that yet, but I will get into that when I get to the training battles and whatnot and wild encounters. So Psychic Surge explanation I explained. Sixth Sense. So Mega Gengar's other ability is Sixth Sense. So the cool thing I'm gonna get before I cover Mega Gengar's other ability though, I want to cover the pre-evolution. So yeah, Ghastly keeps Levitate, and then it also has his new ability Merciless. Sorry, I'm a little bit in a rush now because the phone's blowing up. Yeah, Merciless is super fucking great. It's really cool. It fits super well, I would say, to all 3 of them. However, it's a little bit weird that yeah, they lose Merciless and then gain it back. I know that looks kind of weird, but I think Ruthless Physical Haunter is just a really cool option. And if you never roll it, then you would never notice that. So, um, and then if you get back Gengar, you get Merciless back. So what that can do, you can use that with a lot of things. Early game, you can use that with Poison Gas, and basically you'll get a crit and everything. So you can bypass stat drops on yourself, and you can bypass stat boost on the opponent, which is great for totem Pokemon, and it's great for like, for example, late game, base Gengar can spam Spectral Beam, which is the ghost type version of Psycho Boost now, which I changed that actually. If anybody's wondering, it used to be an inaccurate Fire Blast type move. Now it's Psycho Boost type move, but regardless, yeah, you can use that up, get your special attack drop by 2, and then let's say you set up a Toxic Spikes. So say you set up a Toxic Spikes turn 1 and lay that down, and your opponent's team, the trainer battle you're fighting, has literally no way to combat that. They have no way to remove them. They have no poison type. They have no Pokemon that's not grounded, that's immune to poison. So you can poison their entire team. or most of their team at the very least, you can then just spam Spectral Beam and hit a crit every single time and completely ignore the stat drop from Spectral Beam. So it's just a really fucking cool move combination. Really strong, and you can use that with other stuff too. Also, just critting in general gives you 1.5 power, which is really strong, given Gengar's already good stats. And yes, I also made them a little bit faster just to keep up with the speed creep of all the other speed power creep rather of all the other Pokemon because every Pokemon's way faster now. So or slower, you know what I mean? The fast Pokemon are way faster. So 115 is not even that great of a tier. It's good. Like don't get me wrong, he's fast, but there are a lot faster Pokemon. So yeah, super balanced. And then there are other ability besides Merciless, because again, you can always ability capsule these on and off. So to say, oh, I need Levitate for this battle. Oh, ability capsule it on. Oh, I need the Ruthless Power Boost for this battle. Okay, ability capsule it on. You know, you can customize your EVs and IVs. So EVs as well. You can just, oh, physical. I want physical hunter this round. I want special hunter next round. That type of thing. Super useful. Um, Otherwise, for pre-Mega Gengar, you have Envy, which is a new ability as well. And so what that does, it's basically, it's kind of funny. I actually came up with this idea before the Mirror Herb got introduced, but I'm sure I'm far from the first person to think of an ability slash item that copies a setup move. I'm sure I'm far from the last person, far from the first person to think of that. But I think I might be one of the first to program it in a game. I'll put it in a game. So this uses Dancer's code, and what it does is it immediately copies the setup move. So instead of copying a dance move, it copies any setup move. So, for example, I switch in my Gengar on a Nasty Plot Hydreigon, and they use Nasty Plot for their one use, and then I instantly copy it without even having to like do anything, and then I get the +2 boost. So it's super really cool, and you can really take advantage of it if you use it at the right time. It just punishes setup moves, and it's also good for AI to have against you to punish setup as well, and just inhibit it as well. Super fun. And yeah, you have Envy, and that's really cool because you can switch your Gengar get the Envy boost, and then Mega Evolve and get Psychic Surge. However, your other great option is Sixth Sense on Mega Gengar, which is you could argue it's stronger than Psychic Surge, although again the special boost from these moves is really strong. So not only does Subspace Tear work with Ruthless Haunter, but Subspace Tear also works with both of Mega Gengar's abilities because Subspace Tear is 90% accurate, so Sixth Sense makes it totally 100% accurate, and Psychic Surge gives it a huge boost. But Sixth Sense, what that does is it's actually really cool, actually, because these two guys have like this third eye psychic vibe going on, and they're also like Gen 1 megas of like these fast special attackers, and they both have Sixth Sense. I think that's really cool. That's another reason I chose Sixth Sense for Mega Gengar. I wanted to give one of them Sinister, but I just couldn't justify it. I think my friend was convincing me that Envy was way cooler than Sinister, and I would have to agree. There'll be other ghost types with Sinister, so and yes, they already resisted, but being immune to fairy is still really great, even if they resisted, especially because they're not that bulky. But yeah, super cool stuff. Um, Envy is super useful, and then you can get Sixth Sense later on, and what that can do is give you a 30% accuracy boost. So that's why I didn't give him any speed boost because I mean 130 speed is actually not as amazing anymore, especially because you can just slap a Tri-Scarf on your own Pokemon if you see the opponent with it and just kill it. Psychic Surge, no priority. You can still Scarf them on and kill it. Or you can override the terrain, wait it out, whatever you need to do. So that's great. But Sixth Sense is also really fucking good, man. That used to work with Spectral Beam, but not anymore because I changed the effect. So what Spectral Beam works, sorry, what Sixth Sense works with now is you have stab options of Infernal Parade, which is good on base Gengar, but it's great on Mega Gengar with Sixth Sense. So what Infernal Parade is, it's the name taken from Legends Arceus, but it's not actually any, it doesn't really have that much to do with the version. So what that does is it's 130, 70. It's basically, it's another equivalent to the Zap Cannon type move, the old Zap Cannon, the new Zap Cannon. It's a Psycho Boost move. But basically, I have 4 moves here that are 70% accurate, 130 base power that always burn. That's it. They always burn. They're really good. You can use the Z move for a super strong Z move, or you can just risk. I mean, 70% is not that bad, man. 70% is like old Thunder Blizzard type deals. Old Focus Blast. That's an old Focus Blast, man. You know, so it's not like it's an unusable move. It's a very and the burn effect is well worth it. So it's stronger than old Focus Blast, and it freaking burns every single time. So it's definitely worth just spamming if you were risky. You feeling risky. Otherwise, Wide Lens alone for I'm just kind of this is a Gengar change guy, but I'm just gonna quickly touch on this. With the Wide Lens, it becomes 80% because it's 1.15 boost now, so 81% accurate with Wide Lens. If you're using those moves on a slow Pokemon with Zoom Lens, they become the same accuracy as Sixth Sense, which would be, I believe, 91. Yes, 91. So yeah, Infernal Parade becomes 91% accurate, so that's a 91% accurate, 130 base power special ghost type move that always burns. And you can use Hex after as well if you want it to be crazy and use Hex, because Hex would be the same base power. Sorry, no, Hex would be 140 base power because I buffed him to 70, so actually Hex would be stronger, so you could use that combination if you wanted to. It's a little bit waste of a move slot, but it's worth it. It's totally worth it, especially because Hex is a TM now, so it actually is worth it. But regardless, super cool stuff. 6 cents is great. So otherwise, you have Sludge Wave, which is 90% accurate, becomes 100. You have there's one more. You have a couple more. So you have Blizzard and Thunder, which also become. Sorry, those are not. Those would become. Those are 85 accurate now. Those become 100, I believe. Yeah, over 100. So you got that option, which is super great. So you have Blizzard, Thunder, and Focus Blast. All three of those are strong and won't miss with 6 cents. You have the super strong coverage moves. Then you have Stab Sludge Wave that won't miss anymore, despite the 10% chance it's not terrible anyways, but just nice to have that reassurance. And then you have Infernal Parade at level 70. So Mega Gengar, super fucking strong, man. Super great Pokemon. Haunter, super strong. All three of them are just really fun and strong. And also to compensate, I also dropped his bulk a little bit. So not only is the speed tier, it's good, don't get me wrong, but you can easily outpace it with Scarf or boosting or whatever else. Or if they're using 6 cents, then you can just hit them with Priority Sucker Punch, which is literally a TM, or a billion other things. Sash, super effective weakening barrier. You have tons of counterplay. It's not like you're just gonna get swept by a Mega Gengar with a trainer. The AI is just bad enough to the point where you can predict whatever they're gonna do. And I'm not saying it's easy. It's definitely not easy, but if you know what you're doing, you'll be fine. Yeah. Otherwise, he's Frailer now. That's the main thing. Also, because I don't really see a reason why he should be bulkier. He's still a ghost made of like gas and whatever. I guess technically he's like coming into the real world, so he could be bulkier, but I figured just give him more special defense and then also just drop the rest in attack just to balance him out a little bit. Also, because he can throw punches. I don't know why you would ever use this physical stat. You probably would never use it, but it's there, I guess, if you really wanted to. That's about it. I think that covers about everything. Tons of coverage, tons of great new moves. Heavy Light Haunter, I covered that. Yeah, that's about everything. I touched all the bases. Oh, last couple things. Yeah, you also have 6 cents with Hypnosis, which is super fucking strong. That becomes 100% accurate, maybe? Hold on, 80 times 1.3. 104, yeah, so that does not miss with 6 cents. So you get Hypnosis, which doesn't miss. However, you only get one sleep turn if you're faster, and you're probably faster. So you only get the one sleep turn, which is still a nasty plot. But then you only have 2 coverage moves, so you have to really pick and choose what you're doing. So it's not as overpowered as it sounds because sleep is only 2 turns now, and one of those turns is taken up on the first time you use it if you outspeed. So 2, like this Pokemon is fast asleep turns, which means basically 1 full turn if you're faster, which is still great. Do not get me wrong, it's very useful, but you could also use Dream Meter because that is super strong now, and it boosts it heals you 100%. You have Conjure for more setup. You have Nasty Plot. You have Swords Dance. You have Z moves as well. So another thing I'd like to do is to make it so the megas are not inherently better than the base forms. And in this case, I feel like even though Merciless is super great and holding an item is super valuable, Mega Gengar would be preferred most of the time, which is, I could live with that. But I wanted to give Gengar an extra little oomph. So what I did is I gave him Z Nightmare and Z Spectrify, and both of those give +1 to all of Gengar's stats. And that kind of makes it so, hey, you can totally just use that Gengar instead of Mega Gengar. You're not forced into using Mega Gengar. You wouldn't have been forced regardless, but I just wanted to give him a little extra oomph at the end of the game. Also, just because those moves fit really well, and I really couldn't see myself not giving him either. And yeah, I think that's about it. Last thing I wanted to say was Devious Lick. It's a funny ass name. If you guys get the joke, but it actually is ironically a good move. Also, other Merciless options early game, you can just smog them and get the guaranteed poison. You can Baneful Bunker and poison them when they touch you. Both of those are really useful. And then you have Toxic Envenom in the mid-20s as well as Haunter, but you wouldn't really be using Merciless as Haunter because you don't have it. So what you have is Devious Lick, and what that does is a signature move. And that's another Omni Boost move as well as a signature. Sorry. I cannot see the freaking control F thing. There we go. So yeah, exclusive to Gengar line. It's 20 base powers. It's kind of like Nuzzle, the old Nuzzle, but instead of it's based on special because it says in the deck sensors they have a gaseous tongue, and I was like, hey man, let me make this move somewhat usable. 20 base power is weak, but it'll do damage. Oh shit, I have to change that text. So the reason I made it poison and not ghost is literally only because the ghost Z crystal is way earlier than the Poison Z Crystal, and I don't want to give Gengar an Omni Boost Z move after Mimikyu. That's way too strong. So I had to make it Poison, which still fits. It's just not as fitting. And yeah, all of the text entries talk about how they will die, and if they lick you, you'll slowly die and shake profusely, and it's just really terrible. And it curses the flow and etc. So I could have given the Moonblast, couldn't I have? I will consider that. Yeah, I might add Moonblast there somewhere. I don't really have room for it, do I? Yeah, and Moonblast with 6 cents would be really cool. I'll figure that out after. But my point, I'll probably put it somewhere. Yeah, I'll move these up and put it down. I'll figure that out. He'll have Moonblast, so consider him having Moonblast here as well. Um, because of the dex injuries and because I think Moonblast fits most ghost types as well. Yeah, this curses them, so that's super great for totems, which is why I gave it in the mid-20s. So like, oh, Turtle Morantis, let me just click DPS like, and now they die in 4 turns guaranteed. It's super useful. And it does damage, so it's not like it's really just for the curse effect. And then late game, if you keep it, you get the Z effect +1 all stats, but you would have to keep it all the way up until then. And it is a little bit situational, but guaranteed curse is good. Like, you can devious lick and then baneful bunker, you get guaranteed 50% damage, and you can also potentially poison them. And you can use devious lick with like merciless and baneful bunker in combination and just slowly kill them, whittle the thing down. Super cool shit, man. You have so many great options. It's getting rare. Super fun mon. This is gonna be a longer change guide, but I'm not too upset about it because I think they deserve all this time to cover because there's just so much shit to cover for them. Cloyster, I just rambled a bunch. So I think that's about it, guys. Hope you guys enjoyed. Thanks, everyone.